So now when you saw it, were you like not like celebrating that, Tech died, but you were celebrating that you called something right for once?
For once, I love that. Just for once. For once, I got something right. What do you know? Hey, that's me.
The Force is what gives the Jedi his power.
Why is the Force connecting us?
I am a Jedi.
Always two there are.
We're a dyad in the Force.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Force Diet Podcast. Back after a few weeks off. We're going to talk Bad Batch finale, season as a whole, look ahead to season 3, and talk a bit about all the fun stuff that came out of Star Wars Celebration Europe. So with that, I'm your host, Obi-Sean, joined, as always, by my partner in crime, Jedi John. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing great. Been fantastic. Been busy.
It has been a while since we've talked.
You've been busy, too.
I have been. I have been. And it's been so long that, frankly, I still forgot how to do the intro. So it's fine. It's good.
Yeah, you even skipped over your "This is where the fun begins." And I can't believe you did that because that's the signature.
I know, but I now that I've started doing like the sound bites, kind of do the cold open and then put the music kind of in between. This is where the fun begins doesn't lead in as well to the opening audio like it used to. So yeah, I cut that one out.
Well,
so I mean,
maybe
what if so we've been off now for, I don't know, the better part of 5 weeks, I suppose. And what have you been doing since then in that time away?
in the time away. I mean, I went to Mexico for a week with the family. That was fun. And then, there's been a lot of work and a lot of bowling and, just prepping for the next kid, which we're officially only like something stupid like 22 days away from or something. I think it's actually less than that now. I'm sure it is.
Yeah, you were 3 weeks,
But
3 weeks yesterday to your due date.
yeah, thanks.
Everyone applaud
Yeah.
for Jedi John and
I
the
think it
new
was-
and the new kiddo on the way.
Yeah, new kid on the way, May 9th. Should be a lot of fun. So we've been prepping for that. So I've been relatively busy with stuff. But you got to go to Disney
I did.
in that time off.
That's true. And I was going to say, just before, having a second kid, that is where the fun begins. So, that's for you, my friend. I am very excited.
So I've been told.
I'm very excited
Yeah.
for you. Me and the family went to Disney World. It was a blast. Connor loved meeting, all of the characters except the princesses, because much like his father, he is a bit gun shy in front of pretty ladies. So, but we met Chewie. He got to meet Buzz, all dressed in his Buzz costume. It was great. Kid is a daredevil, a go-getter. He does not. I think we rode Buzz Lightyear 5 or 6 times. So Zurg is effectively no more. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Zurg's dead.
Zurg is toast. But I took Connor on the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, which he was just barely tall enough for. And I think before Tron opened, it was the fastest ride in Disney. And we got to the end, and he's all. I look over at him. I'm like, "How you doing?" And he's just got this like ghost white face. And I'm like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Are you sick?" No. Do you want to ride it again? No. So I think the Mine Train was much more his speed. But we did Rise of the Resistance, and he loved that. And I was surprised.
Did he love the Stormtrooper room?
He did, and a funny story about that is we paid for the Lightning Lane, and because ain't nobody got time to spend 3 hours in that line, especially when it unironically broke down 35 minutes after we rode it, like it always does. But we bought the Lightning Lane pass, and we check with him. Hey, you got to go to the bathroom? No, I don't have to go to the bathroom. Are you sure you don't have to go to the bathroom? No, don't have to go to the bathroom. Well, unsurprisingly, have to go to the bathroom. So we do the pre-show ship ride, get into the Stormtrooper room. Daddy, what's that? Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm, yeah. And then you get in that second or third line or whatever at this point, and we're in the hallway, and we get 90% of the hallway. Like, we see the First Order officers in the place where you go and you line up in the queue. And he's like, Dad, I have to go to the bathroom. I'm like, that's good, because there's no bathrooms here. And we thought we actually had a spare diaper pull up in the bag, because he's 4 now, so he's potty trained. Anyways, turns out we took that out of the bag. So he's dancing. He starts crying. The First Order officer's like, oh, everything okay? We're like, no, he's got to use the space toilets. So oddly enough, they happen to have those on that First Order Star Destroyer. So Connor got to use the restroom in space. So probably one of a limited number of individuals who can say that they've gone to the bathroom on a First Order Star Destroyer.
Just curious, did you get to go in that bathroom with him?
I did not. Kara went with him, so I'm not sure. You know what kind of.
Was it decorated? Was it a decorated bathroom? Was my question.
I will have to ask and report back, because I didn't. I was so worried about him getting there, right? On top of the fact that we had a lunch reservation that we had to get to after, so I was like,
right after,
we got to ride this, and then we got to book it across the entire park to the Hollywood Brown Derby, but no, I mean, yeah. So that was an experience. Him having to use the bathroom, and fortunately enough, they had the cast member stuff there. So
next time I go on that ride, I might have to use the bathroom too. So
I mean, when he came back,
he
was saying, for the Order and all these kind of weird things, So I don't know what kind of
so there's probably some
indoctrination going on back there. So
yeah, they've got the all the posters on the walls, and
exactly. Only you can defeat the Resistance and everything like that.
Only you can.
And it's a picture of Kylo Ren, like Uncle Sammy's pointing out from the poster. And then you've got General Hux doing "You can do it," and he's like, why can't I think of her name? Anyways,
only you can defeat the Resistance.
Long live the Supreme Leader.
That's all I heard the whole time.
That was awesome. That's fantastic.
That's all I heard the whole time.
Were you like the B tier Kylo Ren, voice actor there? I mean, that was pretty good.
Oh, I totally put in for it. Obviously.
Oh man.
I knew I could do it.
But yeah, the trip to Disney was great. We went on way more rides than I ever could have imagined. With a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 6-year-old. My niece and nephew were there too. So it was a great trip. Weather was amazing. Yeah. And I came home and of course went through withdrawals and was like, all right, when do we get to go back? So, yeah, it was good. And so in between then, yeah, not doing a whole lot, outside of work and stuff, which is boring to talk about. So I'm not going to talk about that. So, but we do have a lot of Star Wars stuff to discuss. Since we last talked, we have 4.
A lot has happened. A lot has happened in the last few weeks.
4 episodes of the Bad Batch, 6 episodes now of Mando, which I think we'll tackle in our next recording, and then obviously the 4-day weekend that was Star Wars Celebration over Easter weekend. So tonight we'll dive into the Bad Batch, talk about the finale a bit. We're not gonna. It's been so long now that we're not gonna dissect the individual episodes. Although I think it would be fun to, in the spirit of all of our other recordings, do the IMDb scores and stuff such as that. If for nothing else, for consistency's sake. Just to tie
consistency.
Just to tie a bow on it. No Posey fan reviews or anything here. Just quick episode ratings.
That's the only review I want to hear.
And then, talk about the season as a whole, look at all 16 episodes kind of as one unit. And then we did get one of the announcements to come out of Celebration was season 3 being confirmed, which everyone kind of knew was going to happen based on how this season ended. And so maybe we look ahead to that and then finish with our Celebration talk because, there was a lot of stuff to come out of that. So, sound good to you? Sound like a plan?
I mean, I'm here. So
you're just here so you won't get fined. All right, let's dive in. So Bad Batch, right? So in the time away, we got Pabu, Tipping Point, The Summit, and Plan 99, in ascending order of enjoyment, probably, or at least excitement. Right? They got progressively more exciting as we got towards the end. The big climactic scene, which I don't know that I'm still fully recovered yet from the loss of Tech. I mean, you had been calling it pretty much since like episode 4, since Faster, I think, when he did the riot racing. You're like, oh yeah, they're setting him up to get killed, and I was in denial the whole season. And then, Saw had to go and detonate giant bomb, set off all of the chain reaction, get them stuck on the stupid cable car system, which, why is it always like a weird, like, transport system that you get stuck on? I mean, it couldn't have been on the ground, not, thousands and thousands of feet up in the air, that, he could have escaped from, perhaps, but no. But in the end, Tech's loss, it made sense, again, looking at the season now as a whole, right? It made a lot of sense. So now when you saw it, were you like not like celebrating that, Tech died, but you were celebrating that you called something right for once?
For once, I love that. Just for once. For once, I got something right. What do you know? Hey, that's me. No, I think that there was like I knew it. The whole time I knew it, but still sad to see it happen. But he went out in the way that only Tech could, where it was just purely a logical decision. Like, if I don't do this, you will all die also. So it was the sacrifice. So that is exactly how I felt like he would go out, just because he calculated the risks and also the solutions to the problem at hand, and there were no others.
Right, and I think it goes back to how he was, when he talks with Omega in episode 9, right, about how he shows his emotion, how that's how he showed his love, right, was through the sacrifice, right? And naturally the questions come out after the episode, oh, is he actually dead? Because later in the episode, Hemlock, as expected, as I think everyone expected, Sid naturally becomes a backstabbing two-timing Benedict Arnold and turns him in to save her own skin.
Figure,
yeah. I don't think anybody was shocked by that. But Hemlock throws a pair of goggles on the floor in an effort to intimidate Hunter and them. And so the question is, okay, well, did he survive? And I don't want him to. Like, we've gotten into a habit now, I think, with some of our shows, like Mando, for example, reconnecting Grogu and Din quickly, like, of kind of cheapening like a send-off or just kind of a big kind of emotional moment. And I feel like to bring him back in his like current state would just completely nerf the sacrifice that he made, to save his family. And so I don't want him to, as much as I love his character and I see myself in him in so many ways, I don't want him to come back, at least not in his original state.
Yeah, I think you got a point there where it's been tough recently because no one ever really wants to lose someone, but in Star Wars specifically, no one's ever really gone. That's, I mean, what we've learned the whole time. And it's difficult to process sometimes, that fact, but at the same time, like, we need to lose people. Like, loss is a real thing in our world. And it's a kid's show, so that, I mean, it's tough to process loss for children, but at the same time, it's teaching, it's still a lesson to be learned. So there are going to be people you lose. And I think it's important, not just in the Star Wars universe, but, I mean, you know, I watch Marvel and a lot of other things that, you know, when someone's gone, they're gone. And it's important to stay gone because that loss meant something, whether it be a sacrifice or a heroic act. Doesn't matter. It happened. So you have to learn how to process those things. So
yeah, and then with Hunter and Wrecker getting snagged, Omega is supposed to be getting away, right? They were supposed to sacrifice themselves for her, or at least that's how they viewed it. She gets the drop, kind of, in a way, on them as they're being escorted out, and in the end, kind of gives up her, or not gives it up, but she's so hyper focused on them that she's unaware of her surroundings. Gets snagged herself. Echo bails the guys out, and they escape on the why can't I think of the name right now? Why can't I think of the ship? Anyways,
the Marauder.
Thank you. Escape on the Marauder, and Omega's taken back to Mount Tantus, and the reveal, which you being in Mexico didn't quite remember, but then you get the scientist, or the chief, not the chief scientist, but one of the techs revealing herself to be Omega's sister.
Which means clone.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it means that
clones are working for the cloners. What do you know?
And it's interesting, like I was telling you before we started, recording, that if you're paying close enough attention during Tipping Point, when Hemlock's interrogating Crosshair, like the frame cuts to her and her eyes kind of do this shifty thing, right? Which, obviously hindsight being what it is like, aha, when I forget exactly what he says, but it's almost indicating that she's
not comfortable with the situation.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So that's an interesting revelation that they're sisters, and she didn't say, like, and maybe she said it in the way that the clones are brothers to one another, right? There's an obvious age difference, so whether she, and I would say it's probably unlikely that she was accelerated as far as her growth is concerned, simply because it would be weird to have that person in the role of like a scientist running these trials. So she was probably the first, and then they probably used her to create Omega, I guess, or maybe, at least I think that's maybe the implication. But I'm curious if that'll play a larger role in season 3. Because otherwise I don't understand the reveal.
Yeah, I think it's going to be I told you this before, like, Crosshair still can be redeemed. He can still help somewhere, even if he's a capture right now, like he is. But he can absolutely help either Omega escape or his brothers out of issue once they arrive. So season 3, I foresee, obviously there's going to be a heist where they're trying to get him out. I think between Crosshair and their sister, something's going to happen.
Yeah, and Crosshair's already kind of trying. He's starting down that redemption path that you kind of, I know you want him to have, or at a time you wanted him to have anyways, as far as getting out the warning that they were being hunted.
Yeah, I think he will. I think he'll get it. Like, the way that it's shaping up right now, he's either going to sacrifice himself or at least aid in the escape. Just the way that everything unfolded and is now laying for season 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because season 3 was confirmed to be the final season, right? So it all has to have a nice bow wrap. Well, it may not be nice, but it has to have a bow wrapped around it. So since we're only getting one more season, so whatever's gonna happen, has to happen. So there's not going to be any more cliffhangers. So we will get resolutions for all of the character arcs, which is nice. So it'll be curious if it's going to be another 16 episode season, or if they'll extend it, or if, I doubt it'll be shorter, but
I imagine they keep it the same.
It would make sense. Keep things nice and consistent. So
that way they can just put different arcs in it again. Like, you've got those easy arcs in the middle. So I imagine those 3 to 4 episode arcs that they have been doing. So
right. So now, as far as the last few episodes, not counting Pabu, or even Tipping Point, what did you think of the season finale as a whole? And then we'll talk briefly about the scores.
So I really enjoy how they release these episodes. The last 2 being released the same day, I think is just an excellent structure, because normally with a TV show you get the penultimate episode, and there's it's a ride, it is the climax, and then you get the finale, which ties up loose ends from that episode plus sets up next season. And sometimes it's such a letdown in the final episode, because you have all that excitement happen, all of it happens, but then you're picking up the pieces the following episode, and it's a week later. In this case, while episode 15 was a great episode, obviously, but it more or less set up 16. So I really enjoyed that, and then the action in both of them was fine. It wasn't like oh, this is it, and then we're picking up the pieces. There were pieces to be picked up, obviously, in the finale, but they were. I mean, I think it was well done for the story they had to tell.
Yeah, and can you imagine if they had left it on a literal cliffhanger? Right, with them hanging there over the ravine, right, and then everyone to stew for a week before you see, because really episode 16 is them dealing with the loss, right, and in a way grieving and everything like that, and trying to figure out how they're going to move forward. So there's no way that could have been a standalone episode, because it would have been a true letdown, and having Saw in the penultimate episode, I don't know. I almost felt forced. I don't think that needed. I mean, there had to be, I guess, a catalyst to push the story forward, but I'm not sure why it had to be him. Well, I guess it wasn't going to be anybody else, but
right. I think that's where that's where they were at. Like, oh, we could add some random rebel cell here, but no one would connect or know why they were doing what they were doing. But if you throw Saw there, well, you know why Saw is doing what Saw is doing, because he's an extremist. So he is just going for the jugular.
Well, and it does connect all the way back to season 1. Well, I mean the second episode, I think, of season 1.
When they let them go.
Yeah, when and it's funny because it's at Tarkin's compound, and Tarkin was the one who sent them on the mission to begin with, to capture Saw, and so it's. As you love to say, it's a circle. It's a circle.
It's a circle.
So, but the fact that Saw led to the demise of the team as a whole and effectively Tech, was disappointing. But Saw has always been an ends justify the means kind of guy, so it made sense. But yeah, the finale as a whole, as a 2-episode thing, was, I thought, really, really good. So. Real quick, scores on the doors for these for the 4 episodes that we haven't covered. Again, we're not going to dive into them too much. So Pabu, Any guess on that one, rating wise, score wise?
Like guess for everyone or
Yeah.
guess for me? I mean, I'll give it a 7.
Okay.
Nothing special.
Yeah, no, it says it was a 6-7 according to IMDb. Tipping point with Crosshair's escape. We learn that they're capturing old clones and moving them to the facility. What do you think?
I mean, they get extra story for the main storyline, so I'm gonna give it an 8 because people are happy with the main storyline.
Gotcha. Yep. 8.3. The Summit. So the penultimate episode. What do you got?
I mean, I give it an 8.5 probably.
Yes, you and all of IMDb do the same thing. 8.5. And the ultimate,
Oh,
the season,
perfect.
the season finale of Plan 99.
I'm gonna go with an 8. I'll give it an 8.
An 8. All right.
I wasn't super stoked with that episode, so I'm giving it an 8.
And that's fair. I mean, again, Tech dies. They grieve his death. They get betrayed by Sid. They get caught not even trying to escape. And Omega eventually
There was
captured.
a lot that could have happened differently. So yeah.
So IMDb has given it a 9.1, or the folks of IMDb have given it a 9.1.
Oh, good for them.
The user.
No, I mean, honestly, for me, I just see so many holes in the last episode that it bothers me because they're smarter than that. Like,
Right.
and yeah, I mean, part of it was grieving a loss of a comrade, but they're smarter than that. So, I don't know. For me, yeah.
Yeah, and I almost would have reversed this.
It was still a good episode.
I would have reversed and put the 9 for the Summit and then the 8.5 for 99 because
I can see that.
You get more stuff in the Summit.
Yeah, I don't know. For me personally, it's just one of those things the stuff that happened in the finale was not bad stuff, but we talked about most of it all season long. For me, Sid betrayed, everything was in motion. I think what won a lot of the fans of the show, for a 9.1 rating, is the fact that it went along with the main storyline for everything. So that always bumps the rating, period.
True.
It had Crosshair for a minute. Crosshair in the episode bumps ratings every time he's been in the episode. And then it had more Empire stuff, especially at the end. So I think that was, I don't know. I think that weighs heavy on some of the ratings that we get because it adds into the main storyline that we are following and that we want to know more about.
Right.
So,
and I think the thing I enjoyed most is that it actually ends negatively, right? It doesn't end with a good outcome, right? The end of season 1, yeah, Camino falls. That's sad. That's disappointing and whatever. But the crew gets away, right? They fly off. They escape. They're safe. They're protected. This one, it's the complete opposite. They're all, Omega's captured. Tech's dead. And it's the 3 of them now to figure out how to save her. So it's just a complete 180. And, like you said before, you gotta have loss, you gotta have conflict. Otherwise, there's never any buy-in to the characters, to their struggles. So I'm all for that. So as season as a whole, I thought it was pretty good. Looking back on it now is what it is. Doing the character exposition, delving more into Tech, giving Omega more depth. I would say overall, as a season as a whole, I'd probably give it I don't know. I'm probably between an 8 and an 8.5. I mean, I'm probably closer to an 8, so maybe an 8.1 overall for the season.
yeah, I'm right in that 8.5 range because even with the quote unquote brain breaks, I was on board with some of them, and most of them still had character development somewhere, Tech and Omega's relationship built. We went back to the racing. That was the first episode that we really got some Tech development, and I'm Yeah, he's screwed. So I mean, that's just
still
there was
hate you.
still development there.
I still hate you so much for that, and I hate not you, of course, but
I know,
I hate
but
that. I hate that you were right about
I
that.
know. Yeah, because Tech was your guy. I know.
Tech was my boy.
But yeah, that's just it. Like, I mean, overall, the episodes were great together. It built a story. It furthered the main storyline, which everyone wanted anyway. It gave us more info about what the Empire was doing with cloning. It gave us Mount Tantus for the first time in on-screen play.
And I think that was the first. I think that was the first canon. I think that brought it into canon from the legends, from the legends stuff.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, absolutely. And you know that all those things led us up to, I mean, where we're going to transition to eventually is the Star Wars Celebration stuff, where we get into things that talk about Heir to the Empire and all those things that were in Legends that everyone's super stoked about right now because the Grand Admiral Thrawn is coming back. Well, coming for the first time. Well, for the first time in live action. So, like, we can talk about that again. So, like, all of that stuff, and the fact that without any regard for anything else, they finally dove in and said, yeah, we dug into Legends and we're bringing some of those stories to life. And, you know, some of those locations and some of those characters, and those are some of the things that, you know, when Disney officially took over bought Lucasfilm, bought Star Wars rights, you know, when they said none of this stuff is real, it's all legend. It's there's no longer, this is the canon, this is the Legends, that's it, that's what we're dealing with. So many fans were so upset. And then now that they're bringing some of those items back, they're like, oh, I can watch this because I'm excited about this because that's what I grew up with. Like, 10-year-old John is super excited to see Heir of the Empire items come out because those were the books I got to read when I was a kid. After Star Wars was not there in theaters for however many years, you know? So, yeah, super excited about Heir of the Empire stuff. Anyway.
Don't worry, there's plenty of people
sorry for
still
the
upset
tangent.
about that because it's not going to be Luke. So don't worry about it. There's still plenty of people who are PO'd about it. For different
I'm sure
reasons.
there are. But I still want to see a lot of things come out of the original trilogy for Thrawn. You know, I'm hoping we get some more characters. I'm hoping we get some more battles. I'm hoping we get just... guess what? Just more Star Wars. I just want more Star Wars. That's all I want. I just want more.
There's a lot of
so
stuff.
Anyway, but for the season, for the Bad Batch, I feel like it did a really good job of setting up not just some of the things to come in season 3, but also set up some of the live action stuff that is to come. Because, yep, I'll say it. It's all a circle. It's one big circle. It all connects somewhere. So, it's making its way to connect to live action, which is what everyone ultimately wants for the animation stuff to do. So really excited about that.
Yeah, and we'll. I was gonna ask your thoughts on, or like 30,000-foot thoughts on season 3, but we'll wait and do our season 3 kind of predictions once we get a little bit closer to season 3. So. With that, we'll kind of close our Bad Batch discussion, and we will pivot to Star Wars Celebration. Pivot. So, yeah, I mean, again, took place over Easter weekend.
Yeah.
And
I'm not liking that. They got to figure that out.
Well,
Don't like it.
That's the thing, because we get, to jump ahead to the end of the show, right? We got the news that Japan is the next location, Tokyo, or just outside Tokyo,
which is awesome, by the way.
Yeah,
I hope I can go.
Yeah, 2025, which, and the weekend they picked just so happened to be Easter weekend. So for anybody who's a big Easter fan, yeah, you may have to find a place to celebrate in Tokyo if you choose to go. So
due to religious differences, I don't think Japan's very big on Easter, but that's just my assumption.
Probably accurate. So anyway, where do you want to going?
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
I mean,
it's fine.
Hey, listen. I mean, I'm just being realistic. Like, I mean, there's major religious differences between the U.S. and Japan, and that's nothing wrong with that. It just they celebrate different holidays.
And Europe. I mean, let's be fair. Christianity is
Europe,
rife across Europe. I mean, half. I saw so many comments in the Celebration Facebook group about. Of course, they picked, Easter weekend, and how that will upset a swath of the fan base and stuff like that, who of course celebrate and do that. So and who that's very important to, which is understandable, and yeah, I don't know why they didn't have the foresight to plan around that, but I suppose the same could have been said for this year as well, and they did it anyways in England.
Yeah, they don't care.
In England, where they actually do care about that particular holiday. So, nevertheless, tons of stuff to come out of it. So where do you want to start as far as discussion points? Do you want to talk about the Ahsoka trailer? Do you want us to talk about the new movies? Do you want to talk, where do you want to start? I'm gonna open this to you.
Let's jump into the movies, because I already told you that. I mean, prior to this whole thing, I was hoping they were going to announce movies. Mm-hmm. So let's start with the movies, because that's what I want to see. I want to get back into theaters and watch Star Wars. And not that I'm not excited about watching Return of the Jedi back in theaters, well, select theaters
next week
for the anniversary. But yeah, next week. But I want to see. I want to go to theaters for Star Wars again. Mm-hmm. It's been multiple years.
It's been
four. I'm ready for
4 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready for Star Wars to be back in theaters again. I won't say we've been spoiled in our lifetime, but yeah, we've had 8 in our lifetime so far.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. With Rogue One.
So I will take. Yeah, so and especially in the last decade, in the last decade we've been very spoiled. Mm-hmm. So I want more Star Wars.
5 movies.
Yeah, 5 in the last decade. So yeah, I'm ready for and those 5 have been absent for multiple years. So we really had
So the movies. We can start with the movies. Let me consult my notes here. Right. So we've got 3 different time periods. One is going all the way back to the Dawn of the Jedi, 25,000 years BBY, and that's going to be directed by James Mangold. Dave Filoni is getting his own movie. Which is, of course, very exciting. Going to take place during the rise or the existence of the New Republic. It's been affectionately named, I think, pretty consistently the Mandoverse, right? Which I can get behind as far as the nickname for the time period.
I can't.
and then I want to make sure I get her name right. Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy is directing we'll say the first. I mean, none of these are trilogies or movie sagas or anything like that, but she is directing a new sequel era movie 15 years post Rise of Skywalker, starring none other than Daisy Ridley as Rey. So so it was kind of funny, all of the frat bros, the chat bros, all of the rageaholics on YouTube about
you saw them come out.
Everybody, Disney's going to retcon this, or not Disney, but someone's going to retcon the sequels, and the sequels are going to go away. They're not going to exist anymore. And then Disney's like, yeah, hold my beer. You can all stew-foo.
Yeah.
And we're going to do what we want to do.
Shut up.
So seeing them all cry into their collective apple ciders was quite enjoyable. So of the 3, is there one, perhaps you're excited for all of them, but is there one in particular you're looking forward to most?
Well, I think the Mandoverse one is probably most exciting because it links all the shows we're currently watching. So it's tough not to be excited about a Avenger level movie, because that if I have to compare it to something, and in our world of movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's an Avenger level event from Dave Filoni. So very, very excited for that. The Origin of the Force. Let's go explore something else in Star Wars that we haven't seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Cool with me. I mean, I'm going in there with probably little expectation of what it's going to give me because it's the unknown, and I'll be surprised by what we get. And then the last one is, I mean, the Rey story of rebuilding stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm excited that Daisy agreed to come back. I think she was a bright spot in the sequel trilogy. I understand why some people do not respect her as a main character for whatever reason. I mean, Mary Sue syndrome. I mean, all that stuff. I can understand it,
mm-hmm.
but at the same time, she was still our main protagonist in the series. So it'd be like following Luke on his journey to rebuild stuff. So I'm okay watching it. Depending on what direction it takes, we'll see what happens. I would expect in that series to have some Force Ghost visits from some older characters, which I'd be excited about. I think there's a lot of things that series can do really well
mm-hmm.
if they're smart. So I don't know the director, so I don't know what they've done before. And from my understanding and what I've heard, because I know most of the Star Wars directors at this point, they've never done Star Wars in particular. So
mm-hmm.
I don't know what they've done previously. So I'd have to look up in IMDb. But I'm hoping they take it the right direction of here's a little bit of fan service for, some characters that we don't get to see enough of,
mm-hmm.
but we want more of. And then also there's still some story to build on. I personally think this is their test market. Like, this is the test. Like, they're going to put these films out. Whichever ones do the best, they'll build upon. If something just absolutely flops, they'll abandon it.
Yeah.
Personal opinion.
I'm just... The thing that worries me is if they're using them as litmus tests, then we may not get a completed story like with Solo, right? Because Solo was always meant to be multiple movies, or it was set up to be a multiple movie thing. There was supposed to be a Solo 2.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's get that made. But because of the reaction to...
Kira still needs her stories told, yeah.
100%. Like, I would love to see... We've talked about it. We've talked about seeing that in multiple shows. But, I
mean, we told Ron Howard to his face at Celebration last year.
It's true, we did.
Make Solo 2.
We chanted, and he said it wasn't up to him. So, but it doesn't mean that he wouldn't do it.
Right.
But nevertheless, I'm worried that if they do treat it like that, and something fizzles, right? Because according to, or at least from some of the reports that have come out, the sequel era movie is coming out in 2024? I think it said. With then Filoni's movie coming out following that. And so, there's some concern, or my concern would be that if the movie with Rey and the sequel stuff doesn't do particularly well, that there's like a knock-on effect with Filoni's movie, similar to what happened with Solo. And so it kind of gets harpooned. Now, maybe not. Maybe Filoni's got kind of like, he's got plot armor, right? He's the golden child, right?
He's got the magic hat, man.
I know he
does.
The
magic hat.
I know.
Like,
and so, it was funny because when or after kind of the premise of this the Rey movie, or the sequel, I'm going to call it the sequel era movie because we don't know what it's going to be called, but how she's now a Jedi Master and is going to be rebuilding the Jedi Order and everything like that. I put something, I commented on somebody's tweet about, I wonder if she completes her training via Force Ghost, or if she completes it via like the Jedi texts and stuff like that. And I got so many fun comments on on my post from, oh, maybe a bit of both to doesn't matter, she's a Mary Sue. And so rather than actually reply to any of them, I just use GIFs. And the one where she's talking, or they call her Mary Sue, I use the GIF from Robin Hood Men in Tights where he goes and where Robin Hood puts his hands over his head and pulls his face down, and he goes, "Oh, I did not think of that." So just to play around with with those chat bros, but anyways, yeah, I'm curious to see where they take the sequel era stuff, because again, Luke is supposed to be the one to, or at least according to legends, to be the one to rebuild the Jedi Order, and so as I alluded to before, there's a group of people who like to yell on YouTube, who believe that anybody other than Luke rebuilding the Jedi Order is sacrilegious. Similar to the Heir to the Empire stuff, with Ahsoka kind of being the main driver of that now, and not Luke. I didn't read those stories.
Luke can't do everything.
Right. Well,
Luke can't do everything.
Right. And now going to today's movie, as far as the Mandoverse, think about all of the characters you can have, right? So you got Boba, Fennec, Ahsoka. You can even get Luke. You can get Heir to the Empire Luke in the Mandoverse movie if you wanted to, right? With the deep fake.
All rebels except for Kanan. R.I.P.
Yep. And obviously we don't know what's going to happen in the Ahsoka series, but the cool thing about, and we'll talk a bit about the trailer, but we've gotten every single character reveal, with Zeb being in Mando, and then obviously the others going to be in the Ahsoka show, which I'm going to assume Zeb is going to show up at some point, but maybe he doesn't. Maybe Zeb.
I imagine.
Maybe. Anyways, there's just a lot of good characters that they can have, in that time period. And so, but we've talked a lot about if it was up to you, what movie would you make, right? And a lot of times we go back to the Old Republic to tell that story, right? Or you go back to Bane, or that time period, and the fact that we get to go all the way back to before everything, right? And get the origin of like you said, the Force and the Jedi and everything like that. The first Force users. I think that's the one I'm most excited about, because it can literally be anything they want, right? There is no preconceived notion about it at all, right? With the sequel era stuff, you kind of got to have a framework. Definitely with the New Republic, you got to work within a certain kind of box. This one is whatever they want. They can have the coolest Force powers ever. You can have crazy lightsaber duels like you've seen, like they have in cinematics for like the Old Republic online game, right? Like there are a bunch of cinematics with the Jedi Sith Wars and stuff like that. You can have all of that, and it will make sense. Like you can have it make sense. And so I think that Mangold's got, he's got a sandbox to play
runway.
in. Oh, it's
a runway of stuff.
Like it's so awesome, and the things that his writers, will hopefully come up with. I cannot wait to see that. So I think that's the one I'm most excited about, just because it's an era that has never been touched, and so it can be anything they want it to be.
They're all exciting. Like I said, I was dying for some movie action, so I'm happy that we're getting some. I think our top two between us both would probably agree with most of fandom. Like we want to see the Mandoverse come to the movie screens, and we want to see, like, we both agreed, like, you're going in there with no expectations for the origin of the Force, whatever they decide to call it. Like, it's going to be a trip into history for us. So no expectations there. Like, hope they could do anything they want, and it should be great. I think the least excited one is the Rey, just because of not just the internet guys, but it's the people that are paying for Star Wars right now specifically didn't really appreciate the sequel trilogy. So I think that's the one thing that might bite. And that's, to your point, I hope the order of the movies don't affect anything.
So before we move on, I do want to say one thing about the sequel era movie. And again, I'm not sure how they're going to structure it or anything like that, but I'm hoping that if they're gonna, and I don't know if they're gonna bring back any of the legacy characters or not, but if they do, I hope one of them is Finn, and I hope he actually gets to be a Jedi, like a Force user, like, because he was set up to be that. And
gosh, I really hope they do it. See, that's one of those things.
They can fix it. They can fix it.
They
can fix it, and they can right the wrong that they did to his character, and they can explain it away.
The problem is I don't think they're going to do that.
I know.
Because I don't think John Boyega would agree to sign a contract with them again. But that would be one of the major fixes they could do during this show, or this movie, and it would change a lot of people's minds.
Yeah,
because that's one of the things that people were clamoring for.
I would be all in on Finn getting to do his training from Rey. I mean, I would have no problem with that, and it would be, again, the groundwork is there. It exists. Like, it's not even a stretch to say that he would, he could be up there with her.
He literally wanted to tell her. He wanted to tell her that he was Force sensitive.
Right.
Like, literally wanted to tell him that.
So yeah, the movie news, the movie announcements were awesome. They were fantastic. The other big thing, I mean, again, the live show on YouTube was fantastic. I was glued to it, well, as much as I could be, still having to work and do stuff over Easter weekend. But the Ahsoka trailer dropping, like the full trailer. So, and then the subsequent reveal that Lars Mikkelsen is going to be reprising, I guess, the role of Thrawn, but in live action. So, discuss your thoughts.
Discuss. Well, thank God fan casting works.
Oh yeah.
I think every Star Wars fan on the planet fan casted Lars as Thrawn because, number one, we knew he could do it, and he's the voice of Thrawn. So, great fan cast, everybody. Pat yourselves on the back. The show looks like it's going to be very, very interesting. I can't wait to see what Sabine's role is in the show. We'll see Chop again, obviously. And then, just seeing some of the Rebel characters, like Hera is going to come back, and we're obviously going to get Ezra at some point. So,
you mean Jabba? I think you meant Jabba.
Jabba?
Remember, that was Ezra's alias.
I know. Jabba.
Remember, I'm the newbie to Rebels, so I'm getting to
one of
sprinkle
us is rewatching Rebels right now.
That's right.
And the other one watched it years ago. So yeah, again, okay.
Yeah.
Good old Ezra though. But yeah, we saw Ezra. There's so many things that could happen in this show, and I think that's the reason why I'm so intrigued with it is because Ahsoka's story is not written.
Mm-hmm.
So there's anything can happen. None of the Rebels characters' stories are written. Like, there are no.
The plot armor's not there.
For me, there's no. Yeah, there's no plot armor. It's a brand new. It's truly a brand new show that I can't wait for.
Yeah, and on top of that, you get and we got the two new baddies in Balin and Shin, right? With their orange lightsabers, which look awesome, by the way. Orange is like my favorite color, so seeing it in live action looks really good. I know orange was quote unquote canonized in Jedi Fallen Order, but to see it on screen looked really cool. That trailer, I mean, was excellent. The whole Heir to the Empire reveal, like we talked about already, was really cool. Kind of got goosebumps the first time I watched that. seeing them back on Lothal. So we get to see Lothal in live action, right? As we go, as Ahsoka tracks down Sabine, or not tracks her down, but that's where she was left, or where she stayed at the end of Rebels. And so, I thought Hera looked, Mary Elizabeth once said as Hera, I thought she looked really good. So yeah, like I don't think we know how many episodes there's going to be yet. But I think there's going to be multiple. I think there's going to be multiple seasons.
I hope,
or at least two. I'm hoping. But anyways, yeah, that trailer was excellent, and before the Lars announcement, which came the next day at the panel, because the Ahsoka trailer dropped at the Lucasfilm panel, and then the next day was the Ahsoka panel in the morning. I saw videos of people like taking Lars's head, photoshopping it, and then like changing the opacity and like tilting it, trying to match his ears to be like, see, it's him, before it was confirmed. And so, yeah, I mean, and I don't think we have an official physical date yet, but we know it drops in August of this year. So we've got probably about 4 months, a little less than 4 months to wait for the show to drop. And I've said this before about other shows, but I really hope that as they get closer and they drop a teaser trailer or two, that they don't ruin or spoil like certain moments, like with Mando's.
The great moments. The great moments, yeah.
Yeah, so I hope they kind of avoid that, especially with the interactions between Thrawn and whomever, because like I would love that first scene with him to be something like we don't know what, I mean, I guess we know how he sounds like, but we don't know how he's going to carry himself and that stuff. I hope
we didn't hear any lines in the trailer. We didn't it's all brand new material for us.
Right. And I don't know if they showed something during the extended teaser during the panel, if he speaks and it's been ruined for they're not ruined, but people who are in there know those things. Maybe someone can let us know, but regardless, it looks excellent. And yeah, I mean, like everybody else, I'm super stoked for it. Really curious to see what Baylan and Shin, what role they play. And I had mentioned something to you the other night, staying on the topic real quick, the potential tie-in to the Norse mythology with Skull and Hati. Did you end up looking that post up? Did you read that? No.
Nope.
So
I sure did not.
So for those who are interested, there's a Instagram page, Hondo Supply. I think I don't know if it was theirs or if they reposted it, but anyways, there's a story in Norse mythology about two wolves, Skull and Hati or Hati, who basically kind of were the destroyer of worlds sort of thing. Again, I'm really loosely paraphrasing this, but basically with Baylan's last name being Skull and Shin's being like they have names that tie into these wolf characters, and of course from Rebels with the Lothwolves and the mural, right? Sabine's mural with the two wolves, the balance and everything like that. The question is, do they represent like a balancing of the Force within, whether it's the world between worlds or within the real world, I guess you could call it that. So for anybody interested in that kind of theory, as for what those characters, because like the wolf's eyes in the mural, they're orange, match the lightsaber colors, and of course with a lot of stuff that Dave does, there's nothing done by happenstance. Like things have meanings. They're there for a reason.
Nothing by accident.
Right. So everything has a purpose, and so these little nuggets all tie back to, well, various things within the Rebels timelines or time frame. And so, again, if you're interested in actually reading and getting the full story, like I said, Hondo Supply on Instagram posted it. It was quite good. So, anyways, that's where I'll leave my discussion about Ahsoka. So, yeah, good for you.
I'm good with that.
Good for you. So,
other thing I'm excited about, Skeleton Crew. I know we got more info about that. I think it'll be a fun ride. Nothing too crazy. I mean, I honestly, again, go into that show with limited expectations just to see what it is. And if I like it, great. If I don't, all right. But I think it's going to be fine. And again, it's a brand new Star Wars story. So I think that was the best thing about this. All the announcements we got during the celebration was mostly brand new Star Wars stories. You know, like we got Visions, Tale of Jedi, like all this stuff that's brand new Star Wars story. Like Tale of the Jedi is going to fill in some holes again, like the first season did, I'm sure. But
well, then you got Acolyte.
New Star Wars story.
You got Acolyte.
Yeah.
We'll have, well, it's not a new story, I suppose, but the Andor season 2.
Oh yeah.
Young Jedi Adventures. That'll be fun. I have seen nothing but good things about that cartoon. So, you know, with Visions and Young Jedi Adventures both dropping on May 4th. So that will definitely be a show that me and Connor watch together without question. So
yeah, absolutely.
Get me off.
Thor and I will be the same way.
Get me off my Mickey Mouse Roadster Racers kick.
I don't need Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. I don't need Coco Melon anymore. Just
Coco Melon. Yeah, we haven't started
Star
that one.
Wars.
We didn't do that one. So you mentioned it already about Tales of the Jedi. I love that Dave revealed the existence of season 2 during the 15th anniversary Clone Wars panel, which, by the way, there were a number of panels, again, that were screened that were excellent to watch and listen to. The Clone Wars panel was great. So if you haven't seen it, you know, go back and listen to it or watch it, I guess. There was a villains panel that was actually really good. Had Gwendolyn Christie, Andy Serkis, and Ian McDermott on it. And there was a ton of insight actually in that. But anyways,
it'd be so great.
It was good. Even the Kenobi recap panel was really good. Listening to them, you know, recount like their favorite scenes and everything like that. And it was wonderful to see the love that, again, Hayden got at Celebration. There's a clip of him coming out during his Star Wars Celebration live interview, and he's to the point where he's almost crying. He's so overcome with emotion as far as the response from the crowd, which
he's gotten so much love over the last 5 years in comparison to 25 years ago when everyone was just like, he sucks.
Yeah, and it like we said it before when we did our Celebration recap from last year. Like it's well earned, well deserved. You love to see it. But anyways, the Tales of the Jedi announcement that Dave had during the Clone Wars panel, so nonchalantly, it's like, all right, cool, season 2's here. What do you think, or what are you hoping to see?
That's so tough. Because I just think about last season, and I'm just like, well, the first part, whatever they want to call it. Gosh, who do they dig in on? I hope they do like Plo Koon. I think there's some untold stories there that we can learn about.
That would be funny.
And then maybe some more Mace.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't know where they have to do known Jedi to start with, or at least known in some regard. So I assume it's going to be Master Jedi.
Yeah,
that we've seen.
I think you're going to get more Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, like from their younger, like pre-Phantom Menace time together. I did like during the panel that Dave explicitly asked George if he could bring back, he's like, Plo Koon's not dead, right? He's not dead, right? And he asked if he could bring him back, and George was like, no, Plo's gone. So just because we know that it's Filoni's favorite Jedi. So I think you're gonna get. I think that they'll do some Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. Mace would be fine. It would be interesting. I would be interested to know, if we're talking about like council members, what's the deal with Ki-Adi-Mundi? Because he's kind of like, I mean, he comes across as a huge dick, like in the sequel trilogy, right? Like, and
That's just the shape of his forehead.
oh man, now maybe that's the soundbite for the opener.
Yeah, maybe. We'll
Perhaps. Anyways,
I do what I can. I
appreciate that. But I mean, we got Mace in the first series, right? And his strict adherence to the rules and everything like that, right? I think that would be an interesting one, because you don't really get him in the Clone Wars cartoon much, right? You get Plo a lot and stuff like that, but you don't really get Ki-Adi-Mundi or Kit Fisto. I would be in for Kit Fisto story too. I think that'd be fun. Or if you had a like a Luminara Barasofi type thing from, it could be like during the Clone Wars, but like again separate, before everything that happened to her and to them. I think that could be a fun one to explore too.
think there's too much. I think there's too much to explore, which I love, but at the same time, like they have so many things they can do, and that's exciting and also scary, but very exciting. Because they obviously nailed the first round, so yeah, sign me up for more.
Yeah, for sure. And then we talked about it, Acolyte coming 2024. They did get a teaser. That did get a teaser trailer. Managed to find some really rough bootlegged recordings.
Wasn't shown to us. But
but that's a 2024 release, and already said Andor 2024. So there was a really good final trailer for Jedi Survivor that dropped as well, which that comes out next Friday. Yeah, next Friday, the 28th. And while we're on that topic, we're doing a giveaway. We're going to give away 2 copies of Jedi Survivor on May the 4th. So if you aren't already entered, go to our Twitter page, our Instagram page, Facebook page. You'll find the ways to enter there. But basically, you got to follow us, like the giveaway, comment, retweet it or share it or what have you, and you'll be entered to win. Again, drawing May 4th for giving away 2 copies of Jedi Survivor. So
yeah, whatever system you need, we got you.
Get in on that. So shameless.
Make Sean count.
I'm quite proud of the spreadsheet that I've built for this. I will say it's going a lot better than the poster giveaway that we did last time. The hype surrounding the game is quite high. So, but yeah, the teaser trailer for that looked really good. The High Republic panel, me being the comic and book nerd, which shout out to Brandon from the Galactic Dads for snagging me a personalized signed copy of Light of the Jedi from C2E2. So big shout out to Brandon again. Our friends at Galactic Dads at Galactic Dads. They cover all.
Charles Soule game through.
Yeah, and it was the only autograph that I don't have. Like I have Kevin Scott's and I have Claudia Gray's.
Claudia Gray's.
But I didn't get the Light of the Jedi one signed by Charles Soule. So that's cool that I have the original Phase 2 books. But a lot of good stuff coming out of there. Both in from a comic perspective, we're getting another wave of the High Republic comics, which is great. Got a couple new authors joining Phase 3. Phase 3 is going to be insane. So if you're not in on the High Republic, you got some time. They are spacing it out, which is great. So
highly recommend getting the audiobook for that. It's excellently done.
Yes. Mark Thompson's narrations.
Take care of business.
Mark Thompson's narrations are legit, and now when I read it and I hear Martian Rowe's voice, like when I imagine I hear his voice.
Their voice. Yeah.
I hear his voice. Like, I can't read it any other way than this, and it's so soft and menacing, and the way that he voiced him is just it's fantastic. So yes, audiobooks, if you don't have the time to read it, definitely get the audiobooks. They are wonderfully done. But anyway, so that had a lot of good info to come out of it too. So anything else as far as Celebration's concerned that I'm missing or forgetting? I'm sure I'm forgetting something.
No, I think, some notable things that I already called before. We can just go into those real fast. Narkina 5's jailbreak. There was a jailbreak at Celebration. I knew it was going to happen.
Yes.
It's a very common cosplay for the jail. So I think that's awesome. I think that should absolutely become a thing because a bunch of people running around in jumpsuits saying one way out is just freaking awesome. The Wilrow Hood run did not get replaced.
The running of the Wilrows
also. the running of the Wilrow Hoods still happened. So, but I think that's a nice addition to our tradition at Celebration is watching the jailbreak. I think it's necessary.
Definitely.
I don't know. I love hearing those kind of fan things, like, because those are the easier ones to do. Like, you don't have to spend a lot of money to do it. Like, the jumpsuits are fairly cheap. Obviously, you could go barefoot if you wanted to, or you could just get some tennis shoes that are white and roll with the color of
some
the
white cross
jumpsuit
chainers.
and-
Yeah.
Yeah, or you can go the black boots from the Imperials because you stole their boots. Whatever you want to do. But overall, like, it's a very easy thing to do, and it allows a lot of people to participate. And at Celebration, it's amazing when you go. We said it last year, and I'll just say it again. Like, you can erase the internet for 3 days, and there is close to zero negativity when you walk in those doors. Everybody's just pumped for Star Wars. It doesn't matter what Star Wars it is; they're pumped for it, and I think that's what's really special about Celebration is it erases months and months, potentially years of negativity that you may or may not have been watching, but you've been hearing somewhere. But it erases that and gives you a new rejuvenated feeling for Star Wars. So super awesome.
Yeah, I saw a number of complaints come out of Star Wars Celebration around like overcrowding, lack of signage, that sort of thing. But the fan experience regarding like fan and fan interactions, I don't think I saw any. That was like one of the highlights, I think, that most people who commented talked about, and we experienced that in Anaheim. Just the generalized joy that everyone has there, and being kind towards one another. I mean, it's amazing what happens when the keyboards are put away for a period of time. That believe it or not, civility actually exists. So,
can't imagine.
Hope for the future. So, unless you have anything else, we'll wrap our Celebration talk there, and bring this episode to a close. So, I want to thank everyone for listening. I know it's been a while, so thanks for coming back. If you enjoyed the content, please consider sharing it. Be sure to follow us on our social channels. That'll be in the show notes. Mentioned it before, but check out our friends over on Galactic Dads. They cover all the fandoms not called Star Wars, and have a general good time doing so at Galactic Dads on all the platforms. But for us, we're gonna make the jump to hyperspace. So for Jedi John, I'm Obi-Sean, and until next time,
may the Force be with you.